Hi everyone. So we are going to get started. So my name is Swinda Osenkop. I am a fourth year out of 5-year student at Virginia Tech. I'm majoring in chemical engineering with a minor in computer science. And I'm going to put my information in the chat with my email. So if anybody has any questions and you don't want to ask it, or you think of it later and you want to ask something later, you are more than welcome to email me and I will answer the question to the best of my ability.
Yep, and my name is Tyler Pugh. I am a senior as well, double majoring in industrial and systems engineering and Spanish. I'm also in the honors college, so if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask. Also, if you have any questions in general, make sure to just drop them in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll make sure to designate time at the end for answering those questions. But other than that, let's get started.
So what does it take to be an engineer? So first thing is you kind of need a little bit of creativity, so I like to think engineers think outside the box. One thing that they teach you about in the College of Engineering is how to think outside the box, how to think about problems at a different angle and how to attack them at that angle. You also need teamwork. So one of the major things in the College of Engineering is the first thing you get into the College of Engineering, you take Foundation of Engineering, which is the first class teaches you how to work in a team. You work on design projects and different projects in your team to learn how to work together and to give feedback, but also take constructive feedback. It was one of the most valuable classes that I took and really prepared me for my co-op and internships that I took later on in my career. So 3, you need study habits. So one great thing is about Virginia Tech is you can opt to take a program called STEP, which is a program where you can enlist and go into school the semester before, so the summer before you start Virginia Tech, and take classes and get the feel of the school before actually go to the school. It's like a pre-run before you go to school. So, and that teaches you how to do like great study habits and really how to study before you get to school, so you can know how to study before you get into your hard classes. And you need an interest in math and science, because engineering is math and science based, and you would need a challenging high school background and challenging high school background and extracurricular activities and the most challenging classes you have at your school.
Yep, so just a little bit of statistics about the incoming class for 2019. Their average reported GPA out of a 5.0 scale was a 4.2. Their average SAT for math was a 707 and reading was a 655. Although we do accept both the SAT and the ACT, but the only statistic provided was for SAT. Around 21% of the incoming class was female identifying, and around 29% were underrepresented minority students in the college.
So I'll give you a moment to take a picture or to scan this barcode with your phones. So this is the common entry point in classes. You can use this to kind of see where is the common entry point that all students come into for the College of Engineering. So AB, IB, CLB dual enrollment classes credits can be accepted, and you can see which credits are accepted through our transfer guide. If you can take a picture of this link, or if you literally just type in transfer guide at BT, I use this transfer guide all the time for my college credits to see if my college credits that I take, even in college classes that I take now as a student, will transfer over to Virginia Tech. So it's a really great resource to use. Pathways. So Pathways is another way of saying like liberal arts credits. The Pathways curriculum at Virginia Tech includes 45 credits over 7 core concepts at Virginia Tech. And we really want at Virginia Tech well-rounded students. So we don't want just engineering focus here. We want to make sure that you understand every single aspect and you can talk to anybody from the arts and science department to maybe a writing department. So we want to make sure that you understand that. So I hear we have well-rounded students. and selected major at your freshman year. So a 3.0 guarantees your first choice major. So if you have a 3.0 at your freshman year and you pick your first choice major, that's going to be your first choice major. But don't worry. So I'll give you an example. I had a 2.95 at the end of my freshman year, and unfortunately that is not a 3.0 and that does not count as a 3.0. But I still got my first choice major, which is engineering. So even though you don't get 3.0, it doesn't necessarily mean you won't get your choice major. That doesn't guarantee your choice major. However, a 3.0 doesn't guarantee your first choice major for the biomedical engineering major.
Yes, so once you come in as a freshman, you're required to take a 2-semester-long course that's entitled the Foundations of Engineering. The first semester for the Foundations of Engineering is going to be focused on using problem-solving techniques to solve code problems, as well as hands-on problems as well. You'll learn some of the professional teamwork skills that are required for group work, and you'll be introduced to a lot of the engineering majors that we offer and we'll talk about later. Personally, during the first semester, I came in thinking I was going to be a computer science major, and through the Foundations of Engineering courses, I realized that my passion focused more around industrial engineering, and we'll get into both of those majors later. The second semester, it was my personal favorite. It is where they break you up into different design teams. So when Sue and I were freshmen, they broke us up into wind turbines and drones. So you were in charge of, within your design team, designing a wind turbine that functioned and could power something and could output code based off of how well it was running. And drones that you would create in the lab, which we'll talk about later, and then fly and test for how aerodynamic it was. Both groups taught a lot about coding, problem solving, and at the end of the semester, you have a big presentation that you give to your whole class. So this course is very important to kind of get the groundwork for any engineering that you decide to go into.
So here you can see numbers of the class sizes of the undergraduate enrollment for fall of 2019. Here the largest class size is engineering education because it's the class size where every single engineering student as a freshman goes into. Everybody starts on the same playing field with the same major, which is general engineering under engineering education. After your freshman year, you get to decide upon a major, and then you get dispersed into the following majors. Accordingly, the second largest major is chemical engineering, followed by computer science. And you can look at all of these numbers here.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about what engineering majors we offer here, starting with electrical engineering. So as an electrical engineer, you'll be part of this digital spectrum that includes computer science, computer engineering, and electrical engineering. So on one end of the spectrum is electrical. It's very hands-on based, very hardware based. It involves a lot of circuitry, and it's very heavy with their lab-based design projects. So a lot of the classes that you'll take will most likely be in the lab. Electrical engineers work on a variety of projects like computers, robotics, cell phones, cards, radar, stuff like that. And they're people who design new electrical systems, solve problems, and test equipment. And a lot of my friends who were electrical engineering have found really great job placement coming out because the major is very versatile and can fit into a lot of different jobs. So that is electrical engineering.
Okay, so computer science. Computer science is my minor. So we design and develop software operating systems and applications. So possible areas of study are human-computer interactions, knowledge and information data, medium creative computing, science and computing, and systems and networking. So I'm going to use this opportunity to move over and talk about the cube. So if you look towards the cube on the top picture, It is it is an animation. So we actually have a literal cube at Virginia Tech where you can walk into, and it is a virtual reality system. So there you can see the guy is walking, he's like walking in the street, and then a car should come along, and then he like gets hit by a car. So that's like kind of like a virtual reality system that we work on. And then the picture below that is what the computer scientists are working on, is kind of like the Oculus Rift video game. That's what computer science is, a real life application that computer scientists are working on. So possible 5-year BS track to 5-year program where you can get your bachelor's degree and your master's degree. So that you can get for 5-year track almost every major except for biomedical engineering and chemical engineering. You can get a 5-year track. So that's something to think about. Job types are software design and development, networking, computer security, mobile applications, game design development. Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about computer engineering. So if we're looking at the spectrum and we have electrical engineering at the completely hardware version and computer science as the completely software, computer engineering is the perfect mesh of the two. So they are in charge of incorporating computing systems into everyday life. So smart fabric is one of those things. It's a fabric that uses technology that can be coded, that they actually weave into materials. So that's something that computer engineers are working on currently. They take hardware and make it communicate with the software. So like I said before, it's a combination of both computer science and electrical. And some of the areas of specialization include networking, hardware, computer systems, cybersecurity. You'll see a lot of computer engineers go into cybersecurity and AI once they graduate. That's a very popular route to take. And a lot of specializations in a lot of different things. So if you're a computer engineer, you can expect a lot of electrical and computer science classes on your schedule. So biological systems engineering combines biology, chemistry, and engineering to solve problems associated with the environment. You'll see that a lot of people that are going into the pre-med, pre-dental, or pre-vet, sorry. You'll see that a lot of those people will be going into biological systems engineering, as it sets you up perfectly for med school in the future. There are two main tracks that you can take within this major. First being biomed, that looks at composite materials and biomaterials, while the other track would be green biological systems engineering, which talks more about sustainable land development, water resource, and the conservation of natural resources. So there's also a biomed minor. So if you don't want to commit to biological systems engineering, but you still want to get biomed into your track, you can add it as a minor, and it relates more to the parts of the body. So if, let's say you tear your ACL, if you were doing the BSc degree or the biomed minor degree, you would look at ways to kind of fortify the tissue and the muscles within your body, while someone like mechanical engineering might look at how to develop a sling or something for your leg that's comfortable and also helps with everything like that. So job types include biopharmaceuticals, and obviously you guys can see there biofuel, biomass industries. There are a lot of different things that you can go into within biological systems engineering. And a lot of my friends who go into med school tend to use this track.
Okay, so chemical engineering, my personal love and favorite, and I'm no way in biased, even though it's my major. So chemical engineering applies the principles of chemistry, biology, physics, and mathematics to solve problems that involve production of chemicals, fuels, drug, food, and many other products. And that definition basically means that chemical engineering can be used of a wide array of things. The juice that you drink, the medicine that you may take, allergy medicine, the clothes that you wear, anything that you think of, the car that you drive, the oil that's in your car, that is chemical engineering itself. So that is something, the food that you eat, the chemical processes that go into making that food is chemical engineering. I would like to spend some time, when you become a chemical engineer, you get to study abroad. So let's say you don't want to go into RSAB, which is Rising Sophomore Abroad Program, or you don't get to study abroad at all as your time at Virginia Tech. If you're a chemical engineer, you get to study abroad your summer of your junior year, and you get to go do something called UO Lab, where you study abroad in Denmark or Germany, and to learn about the different applications that German companies use as a chemical engineer, which is something really cool. As a chemical engineer personally, you get to learn about different ways that you get to make different processes, and you get to learn about different fluid systems. And I personally think that is very cool about the chemical engineering program. If you look at the pictures, the first picture that you see there is the UO lab that we have on campus, and is the students there working in the UO lab, and specifically working on their projects during the summer. That juniors that are in the chemical engineering program are either mandated to stay either on campus or study abroad. Okay, yeah. So material science, it's okay. There you go. Okay, so material science. So I like to say that chemical engineering is like the broad spectrum where you can learn about everything. So material science is like the specification. So key areas of studies are metals, polymers, ceramics, nuclear materials, electronic materials, or biomaterials. So the first picture that you see there is our ceramics lab, where you get to make different ceramics molds and materials. And the bottom picture is a reference to the cast that football player is wearing. One of our football players couldn't play that year because he had an arm injury, and he couldn't play because he had a specific cast. Well, we as Virginia Tech students love our football, and said, well, no way, Jose, we're not doing that. So we made this football player a very specific cast made out of materials that our engineers made specifically for him, so he could play and he would be allowed to play. So when things don't exist, we make them exist. So that's something that I like to say. Different job types that material science and engineers have are design, aerospace, automotive, biomaterials, meteorological, semiconductors, and defense. And I forgot to say the job types for chemical engineering, which are fuels, chemicals, ceramics, paper, pharmaceuticals, consumer products, or consulting. So, and if you are looking for job types in your own that says chemical engineer, just as a tip, most chemical engineering or any job types in engineering in general don't say like chemical engineering. They probably like say something like production or process, just as a tip.
So mining and minerals engineering. So Virginia Tech is very unique in the fact that we are one of only 12 accredited mining and minerals departments. And the mining and minerals engineering saying is, if you can't grow it or make it in the lab, it must be a mineral and you have to mine it. So the process in which mining and mineral engineers go about is finding minerals that can work with technology. So specifically within your phone, there are hundreds of different minerals that are allowing it to be powered up and displayed. And mining and minerals engineering's job is to find those minerals, extract them, and then see how they interact with each other on a larger scale. As you can see, their job types include mine scheduling and supervision, mine design, equipment selection, and mineral purification. But I know a few mining and minerals engineers that it's a fairly small major that end up going out and doing things with electronics, incorporating their mining and minerals engineering degree. So that is MME.
So civil engineering. So civil engineers design, build, and maintain infrastructure. So if you like to design, if you like to draw, if you like to kind of draw bridges or draw different design patterns, I think civil engineering would be a really great option for you. They maintain infrastructure and systems in the public and private sector, including roads, buildings, airports, tunnels, dams, bridges, just any infrastructure that you can think of, civil engineers do it. Some areas of emphasis are construction, land development, environmental, water resources, geotechnical structures and materials, and some job types are structural engineers, environmental engineer, construction manager, water resources, transportation engineer, and geotechnical engineer. And the one thing great about civil engineers is that their job demands time everywhere, everything. Or an internship come up and you may not want to start home. There is some civil engineering area that's needed. So, which is something really great about that major that I admire. And in the picture, so if you see in the picture the Google car, we have a Google car road on the Virginia Tech campus. So if you drive by Virginia Tech, you can see Google Road, where Google actually uses the road at our school and tries their AIs and tests them. So they test road and they test their AI cars, self-driving cars. So I think that's also something really cool that Virginia Tech allows Google to do.
So construction engineering and management is the next one. They're in charge of planning, directing, and coordinating construction projects. So they are the construction managers. And it's a combination of construction engineering, the College of Business, and building construction. So all three of those majors kind of play a role in the construction engineering degree. The program focuses on the 4 different types of industries, so residential, commercial, industrial, and heavy. And so through the classes that you'll take, you'll learn about each one of those departments and how your work affects each of them. One of the amazing things about the construction engineering and management degree is that they have 100% job placement with almost every single student having around 5 or more offers coming out of college, which is huge. So a lot of students go into that major knowing that the college, their degree is going to do whatever they can to make sure they have a job coming out of college. And a little fun fact about their degree specifically is if you look at any Virginia Tech graduation, you'll see a group of students that are wearing hard hats. That is because they are construction engineers and management, and that's what they do every graduation. So if you do decide to go into construction engineering, expect a hard hat at graduation.
Okay, aerospace and ocean engineering. So aerospace and ocean engineering kind of combines 2 degrees under one major, aerospace engineering and ocean engineering, two different engineering majors. But they're very similar. So they will combine aerodynamics, hydrodynamics, structures, propulsion, flight, mechanics, design, optimization, and controls. So and they also have to do wind tunnels. So if we look at the bottom right video below, that is a wind tunnel, and inside the wind tunnel is a meteorologist, and he is trying to see how far he can go to I forgot the word, I'm sorry, a hurricane. And I believe he got up to a Category 4 hurricane until he stopped and he couldn't take it anymore. And the story of our wind tunnel goes is that NASA was going to build a new wind tunnel. So they decided to give their wind tunnel to us. So we took the wind tunnel, and NASA went to go and built the wind tunnel. But NASA couldn't build a better wind tunnel than the one they gave us. So they asked for our wind tunnel back. And we said no. So now we have better wind tunnels than NASA. So that's like a cute story. Like I said before, we can double major in aerospace and ocean engineering, and different job types are structural analysis, design engineering, control engineering, naval architecture, underwater vehicle development. And let's say you don't want to double major in aerospace or ocean engineering, there is a minor called naval engineering, which we'll see later, which is the which is the coincide to ocean engineering. So you can major in aerospace and minor in naval, which I think is really cool.
So as you probably saw from the statistics, mechanical engineering is our most popular major by far, mostly because of its versatility as a major itself. A lot of people that major in mechanical engineering go on to do almost anything in any field. It has a lot of amazing things that you learn, and people usually call it the Swiss Army knife of engineering. So it applies principles such as motion, energy, heat, and force to design and operate machines and devices. Topics and areas that you might see include acoustics, automotives, CAD, controls. The list goes on, and you take classes in each one of those different area topics. So another really interesting fact that I personally have experienced is, as an industrial engineer, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do my research in, but I found out that there was undergraduate research available in mechanical engineering with a professor that went into vibrations. And so my research specifically was on how different parts of an engine reacted with each other and vibrated within the system. So a big problem that mechanical engineers face is needing the whole system put together before they can test it. And if it doesn't go well, then they've lost all that money because of one part that doesn't interact well with the system. So my research was specifically on looking at individual parts of a system, breaking them down and vibrating them at a certain frequency, coding their modal waves, and then seeing if those waves coincided with the system. And if they did, then we knew that the product would work well in the system, and we saved companies millions of dollars, specifically because that research was for space flight and big engines. So that's a little story on what mechanical engineers do, and also how you can get involved in undergraduate research as a person that might not be in that major specifically.
So before I say anything about biomedical engineering, I just want to say, if you're raising your hand in the chat or you have a question, please remember we have a Q&A bar at the bottom of your screen, and you can just type your question in the Q&A bar, and we'll try to answer all questions at the end of our little PowerPoint presentation. So biomedical engineering. Biomedical engineering is our newest VT undergraduate engineering major, approved fall of 2018. The first cohort began in the fall of 2019 with a limited enrollment and selected students from the freshman application in general engineering. So like previously said, under the BSc, a minor is also available for students to pursue, requires 18 credit hours, and paired mostly with the degree in BSc. Undergraduate research is also available for this major as well. So, and areas of interest are biomedical devices and bioinstrumentation, biomedical imaging, biomechanics, biomaterials, cardiovascular engineering, and I will say we have a fantastic cardiovascular engineering research department. I love the head of the research department. She is an amazing person. Nanomedicine and nanoengineering, neuroengineering, tissue engineering. She also does tissue engineering, so she does two different engineerings. Regenerative medicine and translational cancer research. So some job samples are medical devices, tissue engineering, cancer research, automotive, and military safety. So if you love working in a lab and you kind of love working with the body, but you want to be an engineer and you want to go into pre-med, this is the major for you.
And then finally, we have industrial and systems engineering. This one is very near to my heart because it is my major. It is, in the best sense of the word, a combination of mechanical engineering and business to make systems more efficient. So what we do is we look at 4 different areas within the college, including human factors and ergonomics, manufacturing systems, management systems, and operations research. So you'll take classes in all of those areas. And my personal favorite was Human Factors and Ergonomics. It's a very interesting class where you learn about the design of everyday products and how that factors into someone's psychological state. So it's a mixture of psychology, design, and aesthetics, as well as engineering, to learn how you can design products to better facilitate their use and to make the users more efficient with it, more proficient with it, and overall happier with their experience. So this is also a very versatile major in the sense that a lot of my classmates and peers go on to intern and work for Disney, Google, Microsoft, but also places like Deloitte, Northrop Grumman, and Capital One. So a variety of places that you can go with this engineering degree are endless, and we see people in every single job type and field.
So if you click on the Explore Engineering Virginia Tech website, you would be able to see the different engineering majors and the different engineering majors, and then based on that, you would be able to see what your interests are. So if you'd be able to click on the website. Okay, so if you click on the website and scroll down, then you can see all the different engineering majors and information for prospective students. So if we click on, for example, aerospace engineering, you can see an overview, your interest areas, skills, related majors and minors, and career resources for you. Just to get information on the different majors and whatever interest lies. So you can make sure you're making an informed decision.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about opportunities available. So engineering minors within the College of Engineering include the list that you see below. As Sue previously mentioned, she's a computer science minor, but a chemical engineer. So you can definitely mix and match different minors and majors, although some work really well with certain majors. So if you want a minor in green engineering, civil engineering is usually one of the best engineering majors to do that. If you want to do naval, like we said, that would be more aerospace or ocean, but it doesn't stop you from taking whichever classes you want. So those are your engineering minors. You're also allowed to, and you can, go out and double major, and not just majors within the College of Engineering, but outside of them. So as I mentioned before, I'm a double major in Spanish, and that was predominantly because, one, I had space in my schedule, and two, I came in with transfer credit from AP Spanish, and that allowed me to start on my in-major classes right away. So if that's something that you're interested in, I would say talk to your advisor when you get to college and mention to them that you're interested in double majoring in something outside of your engineering degree, and they will help you fit together a schedule that can fit all of those classes. Another thing that we have for opportunities available includes study abroad. One for specifically engineering students, as Sue previously mentioned, is the RSAP program, or the Rising Sophomore Abroad program. That is where during the summer, you and around 30 other students will go to a few countries within either Europe or South America and learn how engineering is tackled and focused on in that country in comparison to the United States. So a lot of the friends that I have that have gone on these programs come back with a more global perspective on how our decisions impact not just our country, but different countries as well. I can also speak to studying abroad outside of just engineering. I personally went on a study abroad last semester that lasted a semester, except for the coronavirus cut it short, but it was good while it lasted. It was through the Honors College, and it took me to Switzerland, where I was able to do research with the University of Oxford. So just because you are an engineering major does not force you into any one specific abroad program. And if you're interested in learning more about the abroad programs that Virginia Tech offers, you can go to the Global Education Office, and The Global Education Office at Virginia Tech will have all of the available resources that you can look it up, for. There's also undergraduate.
So really quick, I want to say that if you don't have any of those opportunities, also clubs let you study abroad as well. Without Borders study abroad goes abroad every year, and I know I was in Engineers Without Borders per year, and they go to different countries and build things. Like the last time they went to different countries and build solar panels for that country to help them gain electricity. So I just want to say that if you can't get study abroad within your major or maybe within the programs that Virginia Tech offers, you can study abroad. You can go abroad if you really want to with clubs and organizations. So there's a place for everything. I just wanted to say.
Yes, yeah, and thank you, Sue. Yeah, I forgot to mention, but yes, a lot of clubs and organizations also do go abroad, so that's an important thing to remember. Undergraduate research, as I mentioned before, is available to engineering students. Virginia Tech brings in a good amount of money in undergraduate research every year. We're looking at hundreds of millions of dollars every year that goes specifically to engineering and non-engineering students. So if you're interested in doing undergraduate research, you can talk to a professor that you're interested in, and most likely they'll be doing research of some sort, in which case, as in with my case, you can apply and they can take you on as an undergraduate researcher, and sometimes you can even do it for credit as an actual class. And finally, there are engineering professional societies and organizations that we offer. So one that is worth noting is AOE. That is an all-female engineering specific sorority that we have on campus. We also have honor societies for each of the majors, and we also have professional fraternities and sororities for engineers specifically. And finally, there is something called OSHO, which happens every year at the beginning of the year for engineering clubs and organizations to show off what they're doing and to kind of recruit new members along the way. It's where clubs like the Concrete Canoe go and show off what they're doing. And through those different clubs and organizations showing what they do, you can get involved in a ton of stuff right away. Don't necessarily recommend it. Make sure to balance your time. Work-life balance, very important. However, if you are interested in those things, you can put your email down and start getting involved as soon as you come to Tech. So all of these things are opportunities available, not just within your major, but anywhere.
So here is a map of internships and co-ops from our Dean's Team members throughout the United States. So here you can see our Dean's Team members in co-op in companies like Altria, Aurora, Voltron, Mosaic, Cargill, GE Aviation, GE Transportation, Marathon. I co-op with Advancix, which is a nylon 6 producing company, Rio Tinto. So what the message is that we co-op an internship with companies all over the United States. So it's not just in Virginia, it's not just on the East Coast, it's all over the United States. We send our students everywhere, and we get companies from everywhere.
And building off of that, there's a lot of support for engineers that are undergraduates outside of just classes. Virginia Tech has one of the strongest alumni networks, and specifically with engineering, there are a lot of different ways that engineers give back to their community after they've already graduated. So as you can see in the top left, we have career fairs. So every September, around 300 plus companies will come to Virginia Tech to have students intern for their companies. This is a huge fair that usually lasts multiple days. And teachers are very willing to give you an excused absence out of class so you can go and give your companies their resumes. You can see in that picture specifically, she's wearing a maroon polo, which indicates actually that she is a Virginia Tech alum, which kind of builds off of how strong our alumni network is. We also have other opportunities for career fairs, such as Cameo, which is a spring career fair with around 150 companies that is given to any student that wants to come that hasn't already found an internship. And at that point, there are already 2 rounds of career fairs, and most engineering students will leave with multiple internship offers, specifically as you climb and become a sophomore, junior, and senior. You'll see a lot more companies interested. We also have Seed Peer Mentoring. So this is a first-year program for students that you can enroll in after you've been accepted that pairs you with a peer mentor who is usually a sophomore, junior, and senior within the College of Engineering, and that they usually stay with them for around 10 weeks. You don't have to, but it's recommended that you take part in the activities that they provide. They provide resume help. They help you prep for career fairs with time management. There's an ice cream social where you can eat ice cream and learn about all the different engineering majors. So the peer mentoring program is a great way to understand what's available outside of what you're set on. I was involved with the peer mentoring program as a freshman, and I can confidently say that it helped me not only make friends within the College of Engineering, but also make myself more professional and more competitive for those internships that I was applying to. We also have STEP. So STEP is the Student Transition Engineering Program, and that is a usually 5-week intensive time right before school starts where students will move in early and will take classes in calculus, chemistry, and foundations of engineering. So this will kind of bridge the gap between high school, like the high school mindset of I'm taking AP classes, to, okay, I'm now in college, I'm taking college level classes, and how am I gonna manage my time? How am I gonna study properly? What am I gonna do to make sure that I'm the most successful student? It helps a lot with connections. So if you're looking to do the STEP program, it will help a lot with if you're interested in talking to a professor, getting to know students on a more one-on-one basis, and they will help you transfer your AP credits if applicable. So the STEP program, I've known a lot of my friends that have done it, and they say it definitely helps them prepare for how to manage college life because it comes at you very quickly. Within like the first 2 or 3 weeks. So you'll want to have some sort of preparation, and STEP is a great program for that. And then I'm gonna pass it off to Sue to talk about Hypatia and Galileo.
Hi. Okay. So Hypatia, I was in Hypatia, not Galileo. So Hypatia is the engineering learning community for females, and then Galileo is the living learning community for males. And what that is, it's a whole community. It's a building for engineering students. So if you're an engineering student accepted into the College of Engineering, you can apply for this program, where you live in a building on a floor, whether male or female, with people all general engineering, all the same major. And this is a fantastic, I think it's a fantastic program because you are all taking the same classes, you all walk to class together, you all come back to class together. You like immediately have a group of friends, and then you have a support group that you that in college that you have with you. So if you are having a hard time in class or you're having a bad day, you can just like go to your roommate or go to maybe your room friend down the hall and be like, man, I'm really not getting this subject. Could you just sit down and explain it to me? And then they'll be like, sure. Like I never had someone to say no. Like I've never had someone to say no. And then, or like if you're having homework troubles and you're in your dorm and you're doing homework and you are saying, you wrote like, man, I'm really having this hard time on this physics problem. Let me see if anybody else is here. Hey, anyone here? Like, can anybody help me? And 2, 3, 4 girls pop their head out of the room saying, oh yeah, I'm doing the same thing. Can I come into your room, or you want to come into mine? Okay, cool. So, you know, it's a good way where you can like talk to your engineering buddies, and it's a good way before you reach out and you go into your separate majors to learn about each other and to make friends in different majors. My best friend is in civil engineering, and why is that? And how do I know her? She was my next door neighbor in Hypatia, and we were best friends for the whole year. We were each other's support system. Something else that's really cool about Hypatia Galileo, in the bottom floor, there is a design studio where it is only accessible for Hypatia and Galileo students. So other engineering students also have an accessible lab, but that is called the Frith Lab, and that is for all engineering students. And for when you're creating your design project for Foundations of Engineering, you don't want to go to the crowded Frith Lab and fight for like materials. You want to go to like the nice. It was really helpful to go to the other lab and kind of learn about and get those materials that they had there. And in the lab that we had in our studio, the mentors there also got to teach us about soldering and about coding, and they taught us things as well. We could sign up for lessons. We also had mentors, and we had mentoring groups, and we get to go out with our mentoring groups. So it was really cool to kind of have another friend group besides the ones in my dorm. Something that I thought was really special to Hypatia was that we had a Hypatia class where it taught me about elevator pitches, how to write a resume, how to dress. You think you know how to dress, and then you don't know how to dress. Like, you think you know how to dress for a career fair, and you actually don't know how to dress. You don't know what shoes to wear. Flats are always the best option. You know, like stuff like that. Like, so different things that you wouldn't think to know. Hypatia and Galileo make sure that you are prepared every single step of the way. And if you need someone like to talk to, everyone is so open to talk to you about stuff because they really want to make sure that you succeed in the engineering program. So yeah, and so if you have any further questions about Hypatia and Galileo, like, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. Ooh. So hands-on, minds-on. So there are different clubs, engineering clubs on campus, where you get to talk about during the O show, which is the freshman engineering show where all the engineering clubs come and they recruit you. So the engineering clubs want you to come join. They want you. So you can come look at them. So I'm just going to go through some clubs. So one of my favorite clubs to talk about is Concrete Canoe, because my best friend is the president of Concrete Canoe. And you can see that in the left-hand bottom side picture with the piano keys. That is actually a canoe, and they build a canoe out of concrete, and they paddle it on a river, and they compete. So I think that's really cool. So mechanical engineers usually get into kind of building of the cars. So the dirt bikes, the astrobotics, Baja SAE, bioactive VT, battery operated land transport, concrete canoes, more civil engineering, design, build, fly, Formula SAE, houses for the future, Hyperloop, hybrid electric vehicle, steel bridge, programming competitions. You see a lot of posters during the year about programming competitions. I will say about that, if either you want to do something that's programming related, or if you just want to learn, there are many programming competitions throughout the year. I will say that getting involved in these design teams gives you great access to companies. The reason that we are allowed to do design teams is because companies fund us. So companies come and say, hey, I want you to do this design of this car with our technology. And Virginia Tech student says, okay, are you going to give us money? And then we're like, yes. And then companies come and check in on us. So I know that my best friend, one of my really good friends actually is on speaking terms with a representative from Google, because his power car is using Google technology to run their car and go to Virginia Tech competitions. And they know how well he works and his work ethic, and he has interviews with Google about working for them one day. And so this is another way you can get your foot in the door. for companies. And it's another great thing to put on your resume because design teams are a great thing to put on resumes as well.
Yeah, so a little bit about Virginia Tech Engineering's rankings. You might have already heard about these, but Virginia Tech is very proud to say that we are number 13 for best undergraduate programs for accredited engineering, and number 31 for best graduate programs. And that's out of all the colleges that offer accredited engineering programs. So Virginia Tech is definitely one of the best on the East Coast. It's also ranked number 7 in producers of engineers with bachelor's degrees, and number 8 in the producer of women engineers for bachelor's degrees. And all of these you can look up online by yourself, but these are just a few of the most notable rankings that we have.
So outcomes. Freshmen who continue to a second year of engineering last 5 years, about 19% after graduation for the class of 2019, 74% are employed, 13% plan to attend graduate school or accepted admissions, and the median starting salary for engineers are about 70 grand for the class of 2019.
Now, scholarships. Scholarships was one of the most important things for me when considering Virginia Tech. For freshmen specifically, we have a lot of different financial aid and engineering scholarships available. Last year alone, around $1.7 million was donated to the College of Engineering for scholarships that were given out to students. And then for upperclassmen, College of Engineering funds and departmental scholarships are all available. And once you become a specific major within the College of Engineering, you're opened up to a new financial pocket of the College of Engineering specific to your major. So you have to be in your major to receive that scholarship. I can speak personally to the amount of scholarship that's provided through Virginia Tech as I'm here on a full tuition ride. So a lot of Virginia Tech students will receive some sort of scholarship from what I've experienced and who I've talked to. And if you apply and are eligible and are qualified, there's definitely a lot of scholarship money available there.
So computer requirements. So right now, you should check the website, but I don't believe there's a computer requirement for the College of Engineering as of currently, but continue checking that website. I do not suggest buying a computer until the summer before entering college. And specifications are available until the end of March of each year. I personally have a 2-in-1 computer and I love it very much, and other people have Macs, and I know that they love it just as well. So it depends on what you like, but there is no like right or wrong answer. But the benefits of getting a 2-in-1 computer is that you have like digital ink for taking notes, drawing programs, writing equations, and submitting homework via PDF by writing out equations. So that's something that I like by 2-in-1 laptops.
Yes, and as Sue was talking about, there are some people that have Macs, me included, and I can say that you can get through first year requirements and overall your engineering degree if you have a Mac currently and you want to continue using your Mac. Like Sue said, you just need to make sure that it meets all of the specs that are required for it, so a certain amount of gigabyte space, a certain RAM, an IP processing unit. So if your computer that you already have already meets that and you feel comfortable with it, I definitely recommend using that. Also, it's very helpful, and something that I did was I talked to previous students that were in the College of Engineering and asked them what computer they were using, and then kind of figured out from there what I wanted in my own computer, and worked out from there. But like Sue said, either option is okay. 2-in-1 might be a little bit easier to download the different softwares and take the notes, but a Mac works well. So if you have any questions on that, feel free to ask.
Okay, so why did I come to the College of Engineering at Virginia Tech? So when I was looking at colleges, I actually didn't know Virginia Tech was a school. I am from New Jersey, so I didn't know Virginia Tech was a school. So my friend slided me a pamphlet and was like, this school is really great for your personality. You should go. So I was like, okay. So I went and I fell in love with the school. Specifically, I fell in love with the Hypatia program because they really support beginning engineers. They really support beginning engineers, and they really show you how to be successful. And Virginia Tech gives so many opportunities to be successful and so many opportunities to get the company that you want. So it's not like a dead end type of thing. It's maybe not this avenue, but I can go around, or I can go to the left, or I can go from behind. You can get to your goal, and there's not just one avenue to get to your goal. There's many different places to get to your goal. And I saw that Virginia Tech gave me the opportunities and gave me the tools to not only be successful in my student life, but also be successful in my academic life. And I can't say that I wouldn't be the student and I wouldn't be the person today if I went to another university. I am like 100% better being a Virginia Tech student.
And I can say that I actually did know about Virginia Tech before I started applying. My father actually went to Virginia Tech undergrad for business. And so when I was 5 years old, we went to my first ever football game. I was not sure what Virginia Tech was, what college was even. But I remember going and walking on campus and realizing that this school was for me. So I visited again my junior year for the junior year open house for engineering interested students. And I sat virtually where you're sitting, physically at Virginia Tech. And I heard a lot of accounts of amazing experiences and opportunities that Virginia Tech provided for their students. I learned about the representation that Virginia Tech has for minority students, which really interested me. And then when I applied, received admissions, and received a scholarship, I knew that this college was going to become my home for the next 4 years. Since then, I've been able to get involved with a good amount, and it has been very rewarding to see the hard work pay off, but also to see what I can do, not just within my major, but within the Virginia Tech in general. And when they say Virginia Tech is home, they're not joking. And it's really nice to know, because I live in Virginia, that if I'm driving up or down 81, I'm going home one way or another. So all of that is very nice, and something that I hope you can look for in the college that you're going to end up applying to and going to. So that is it for us. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the Q&A box. We are going to answer as many as we can. So if we didn't answer any of your questions, or if there was something that we mentioned that you wanted us to elaborate more on, feel free to ask, and we will make sure to get to that. If we didn't answer one of your questions, and you don't want to ask it to us in the Q&A, we attached our emails to the chat. So if you're interested in either one of our majors or what we're involved with outside of it, feel free to email us as well.
So we do have questions. I'm gonna go ahead and start. So is the computer science program, or I'm gonna press answer live. I always forget to do that. Is the computer science program more coding based or theory based, or a good mix of both? So since I'm taking it right now, I guess I'll answer. So I think the computer science program is a little bit of both, honestly. It is, I do a lot of, right now I am learning JavaScript. So the first classes that you learn is JavaScript, and you take 2 classes on that, and then you move on to C++. Then you move on to C++, and you learn classes on that, and then you learn about mathematical arithmetics. So right now I'm in my JavaScript, so I'm a little bit early on in the game, but I think from what I've done so far, it's a little bit of both, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's the perfect answer. Okay, so the next question, How easy is it to switch engineering majors? Oh, what did I skip one? Oh, wait, excuse me. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll just answer this one since I'm already answering it. So I'm so sorry, Jennifer. How easy is it to switch engineering majors after deciding? Great question. So it depends on what you're switching to and how far in you already are. So if you're a first-year engineering student and you want to, let's say, major in mechanical engineering, and then you decide the mechanical isn't for you within the first semester of being in it and you want to go somewhere else, there's a lot of flexibility there. And usually your advisors will work with you specifically to make sure that you still fit in all your classes and graduate in 4 years. That being said, if you're looking into something very specific, like let's say biomedical or construction engineering or mining and minerals, that is going to be something that is a very niche class schedule and coursework. And so if you decide on that and then switch your major or change your mind, it depends on how early, but most of the time it might add an extra semester or a few online classes in the summer or winter to catch up. And then if you're a junior or senior, while I've seen it happen maybe once or twice, one of my friends switched his major within engineering 5 times, and still graduated in 5 years. So he did it, but it depending on how late you are to it, that can impact if it adds any extra stress or time onto your time at Virginia Tech.
Okay, I'll answer the next one. Is it possible to enter tech as undecided and switch into engineering? Yes, totally. If you enter into Virginia Tech undecided, you will be classified under the College of University Studies, and then you'll be major university studies, and then you can switch into engineering from there. So yes, it's totally possible.
Perfect. So the next one, okay, so Jennifer, I'm getting yours now. Can you minor in engineering if you have major in something else? So that is a great question. So as far as I understand it, and you'll have to, on the College of Engineering website, you can see all the minors and the requirements for minoring in that. But as you probably saw in the PowerPoint, they're very specific minors, and most of them require that you be enrolled as a College of Engineering student to be able to minor in it. Not just because they don't think students from outside of the College of Engineering are capable of it, but because a lot of the courses that you have to take have prereqs that only College of Engineering students have access to. So while for maybe 1 or 2, like I'm not 100% sure about computer science, and Sue, you might be able to help me more with that, but for the most part, I know that those engineering minors are restricted to engineers only.
No, I agree.
Okay.
So next question, does the agricultural engineering overlap with the College of Engineering or at all, or is it only with College of Agriculture and Life Sciences? So I don't think agricultural engineering is in our school, and I don't think it's in the College of Agricultural and Life Sciences either. I don't think we have that major in general, but I looked it up. I did some research on it while we were sitting here, and because I saw your question and I wanted to do some research on it. And the closest my major that we have to agricultural engineering is BSc Biosystems Engineering. So if you do some research into biosystems engineering and you look up that major, it might be what you're looking for. But also, if you don't think that biosystems engineering is not what you're looking for, you could also look at the College of Agricultural and Life Sciences.
Yeah. All right, so next question. Can you start major specific classes freshman year if you test out of your first year engineering courses? Another great question. It definitely depends on which courses you're necessarily looking at. So from my personal experience, I came in with credit upwards for the physics and chemistry and math up to multivariable. And so I was thinking I was only going to take 3 years to get a major in engineering. However, there are 2 classes that you have to take your freshman year, like we mentioned before, that it's called the Foundations of Engineering. And those will restrict you from taking in major courses. So if you're wanting to go into mechanical engineering, there is an intro to mechanical engineering class that you have to take that requires a prerequisite in Foundations of Engineering for freshmen. So the good news is if you're coming in with a lot of credit, as Sue and I both did, there is options for you to add a second major or a minor, or start taking classes that aren't major specific. So when I came in, I started taking linear algebra and differential equations because those were classes that I could take, and they were required for my major either way. So it wasn't something that was restricted based off of the major. It was just restricted based off of what test scores you got. So yes, you can, but not in engineering major courses that you're referring to. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, like just to add on what Tyler said, like for chemical engineering, just because I'm a chemie, like anything that says like CHE, major specific chemical engineering courses, you can't take. But in the chemical engineering to graduate, you need lots of classes that are not major specific, that are outside of your major, that consists of your overall GPA, like differential equations, like operational methods, stuff like that. Those are math classes that you can take. And my freshman year, I took differential equations. So, and because I loaded up in math in high school. So like I took like a bunch of classes so I wouldn't have to take them later on. So that's like something definitely you could do. And last question, can you elaborate on how to get into biomedical engineering major? So what you do is after your freshman year, you so there is something called Hokie Spa, and then you go into Hokie Spa and you apply for the biomedical engineering major, just like every major you apply for it. And then I believe currently there's also like a second application process where you apply for biomedical engineering major. So you like fill out the second application, and your applications get reviewed, and then only a select group of students get into the biomedical engineering major.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to add on to that question, so if you go online to Biomedical Engineering and Mechanics, Virginia Tech, there is a website specifically addressing how to apply to your BS in biomedical, biomedical engineering, and it lays out how you'll apply. So in year 1, it's limited to 40 students. Year 2 is limited to 60 additional students, and year 3 is limited to 80 additional students. So you can kind of look at that website, and it'll explain in more depth the process in which you apply. And the dates in which you'll apply for them. So if you're interested in it, it's definitely something that you'll want a more immediate interest in, because the application process starts in late September, early October. But yes, I think that's all the questions. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the Q&A box real quick. Or like I mentioned, if you don't want to put in the Q&A box and you want to ask us about either of our experiences personally, we put our emails in the chat. So yes, oh, okay. Oh, all right, I'll take this one. If you have an interest in both engineering and business, is industrial and systems engineering the only option to get a mix? Or is it possible to do an engineering major and a minor in business? So yes, great question. Industrial and systems engineering specifically is a great way to get into the business sector, not just because you're taking a lot of classes that relate to business and operations within the business. So a lot of your coursework will be centered around the business degree as well as the engineering degree. But it's also very easy to minor in business as an industrial and systems engineer. A lot of my friends have minors in business, and it's something that fits really well with the industrial and systems engineering coursework. A lot of my friends also go on to get MBAs and stuff like that for grad school. So it's definitely a great engineering program for someone who wants to end up in the more business route. But if you're thinking about going into something different, like computer or electrical or computer science or any of the other ones, it will be probably much more difficult to minor in business just because of the classes that don't overlap. But if you want to, it is possible. So I hope that answers your question. If not, feel free to email me. And then lastly, is it harder to get into the College of Engineering based on what major we specify? For example, mechanical, since it's so popular. And do you want to answer this, Sue?
I was just thinking about it.
Oh, okay.
That's why I made a face. I was like thinking about it. I was like, well,
I can speak to it just because last year I interned for the College of Engineering. And
yeah, you speak to it.
and I work directly with the enrollment of the college students. So I can say that there are certain majors that do cut off at 3.0 because they're so popular. Like you brought up, mechanical is definitely one of them. Another one of them would be computer engineering and electrical engineering. Those three majors are usually the most popular, and therefore, if you don't have above a 3.0, you're most likely not going to be granted your first choice. Industrial and systems engineering has been becoming more popular, so I know that these past few years they've required a 3.0. It depends specifically on your class's specific interest. So if you come in with a class that is really interested in mining and mineral engineering, and everyone applies that as their first choice, then yes, mining will have will require a 3.0. But most of the time, and what we see in the trends, is that mechanical, electrical, computer, and industrial are usually the ones that cut off at 3.0. Because of the increasing popularity for the degrees. But for the most part, you can expect that that most students will get their first choice major. The average GPA for first year students as of last year's statistic is a 3.05 to a 3.1. So that's the average freshman GPA once they finish their first year. So that's saying that most students are going to get their first choice for their major. So yes, I hope that helps with your question. Okay. I don't think there are any more questions. I guess we'll keep it open for like 30 more seconds and do like little closing remarks. But thank you guys so much for attending. Like I said before, my name is Tyler, and her name is Sue, and we are very glad that you joined us. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to us over email. I can personally respond very quickly because it's quarantine and I'm not doing very much. So if you have any other questions or concerns about the College of Engineering and want to learn more, feel free to ask and we will be happy to get back to you in a timely fashion. But other than that, Sue, do you have anything?
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to email us. And I hope everyone has an amazing rest of your day from wherever you're joining us from.
Yes.
Whatever time it is.
Yeah, so stay safe and thank you for attending.